So I bought another pump from Amazon. I need a pump for my new marine system in my new fish house, and I bought this one. Now, I chose this one in particular because it's reasonably new on the market. It was first released in 2020, or at least it was first put on Amazon in 2020. Now, this one is sold by a brand called NO.17. However, you wouldn't know that unless you looked at this barcode. You can see NO.17 on there. There are other known brands on Amazon which sell similar pumps like Jabal, but I decided to go for a less known brand in this case, purely based on the release date, because a lot of the other pumps for sumps are released back in 2017, so I thought they were older models, let's go for a newer version. But this has led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole, because on here there's no branding at all for NO.17, and that is the company that is selling these pumps. Another thing that has piqued my interest is the fact that it says this has quieter German technology. Now, I thought, okay, maybe it's made in Germany, but in fact it's made in China. So how and why does it state that it has quieter German technology when it is made in China? Interesting. Also, the lack of branding kind of made me wonder, who is it made by? Where is it made by? Is it made by Germans in China? So I looked at the manual, and to be fair, this pump has got a lot of features that more expensive pumps also have. But unfortunately, in this manual, there's no reference to the manufacturer or, in fact, whereabouts it is made, other than the fact it is made in China. The manual itself is pretty good. There is some translation errors from Chinese. That's normal, and it all kind of reads fairly well. But anyway, back to the mystery of who makes this pump. So I went onto Google and I typed in A7 ALC series pump, and what I got was a company, or at least a brand, called Seabillion. Now, Seabillion seems to be the ones which manufacture these pumps, which is fine. It's nothing new that companies buy from other companies and resell them under their own brand, and I think that is what this NO.17 company is doing. And that got me really interested, so I went on to Google again and I typed in Seabillion, and I found that on Alibaba you can buy these pumps quite liberally. If you want to sell these pumps yourself, if you have the money, you can buy 50 of them for the small price of $29.99, and you could even rename them as your own brand. So if you've got the money, you could sell these on Amazon yourself. Also, we found that the company name is Zhongshen Seabillion, and if you dig a little bit deeper into Alibaba, you can even see that there is another company which owns them. So why did I do all of that? Well, the idea was to try and find out where this quieter German technology came from, and as far as I can tell, this is completely manufactured in China, so I don't know why it has quieter German technology, other than maybe they've bought the rights to some technical stuff that's been developed in Germany and they're allowed to use it in their pumps. Who knows? So after all of that, now we know where this pump comes from roughly, we can actually have a look at it. I haven't got any further into this box other than the instruction manual. I'll just go around it and you can see all of the bits and pieces. You can see there, high quality plastic, durable, fresh and salt water. It's good because I'm going to be using it for salt water. It has got, or at least it states that this is quite a powerful pump. I got the 2,000 litres an hour one. It goes all the way up to 25,000 if you want the big version. From the Amazon reviews, people are saying that this is pretty powerful in terms of its lift. We can see here the version I've got here is the ALC 2000, 16 watts, 2,000 litres an hour, 500 gallons, maxed height of 2.8 meters. However, from the graph here at 2.8 meters, you're going to be getting no flow. So, you know, there's your curves. Let's have a look inside the box, because I haven't done this yet. It's as fresh to me as it is to you. We've got cabling, we've got the pump. It's actually quite a small pump compared to what I was expecting, but a good enough size for a sump. So this pump reminds me a lot of a brand that is being used in the UK, Blagden. They've got an amphibious IQ pump, and that's another thing that I found on the Alibaba site, is this is sort of referred to as an amphibious pump. However, in the instruction manual it says not to use it outside of water, Amphibious pumps tend to be one that you can use inside of water, or you can use them as an external sort of system pump. But because you can't use this as an external system pump, it can't be an amphibious pump. It's just jargon, isn't it? So here's the controller. We'll have a little bit of a look at that later. We've got a model, don't know what that means. Gear, plus and minus, that's the wattage basically to allow you to make it speed up or slow down. We've got feeding mode, which turns it on and off, I guess. Put that to one side for the moment. So we also have some hose tails. It looks like it actually doesn't have a 16mm hose tail in there, which I was hoping for. So that's annoying from the start, because my pipe is not going to fit onto there. But that's my problem. Let's have a look at the pump itself. So we can see all the details, same as what is said on the box and in the manual. We've got our outlet here, which is where the hose tails fit onto. And we have our inlet. I did actually think this was quite an attractive looking pump. I know that's a bit of a weird thing to say, but a lot of the Jabal pumps that I was looking at, they looked a little bit sort of old style. They didn't look as attractive as this one, and that's another reason why I chose it. We've got a stand here, which I hope slides off. It's got little rubber feet on there. Yeah, that definitely comes off. So you could run it with or without this, but I would say for the vibration, you would run it with it on. But it might help to leave that off for the moment so we can have a look further into the pump. That is the inlet protector that just stops debris, large bits getting into the pump. And then we have this here. So theoretically, this hose tail, this is where it gets a bit interesting actually. This hose tail will fit on there, and that will fit on there. So that now looks like an amphibious pump. But however, if we look at the instruction manual, it does say on this line here, please soak the pump into the water completely when pumping so that the pump body can have optimal cooling. Now, from my perspective, that means the pump needs to be underwater to function, and therefore isn't an amphibious pump. Even though we've got all the bits and pieces for an amphibious pump. This is a very confusing pump, and this is one of the reasons why products on Amazon, and Chinese products in particular, tend to be a little bit of a mishmash that they've copied from other things without really understanding what the other things do. They just sort of look at a good product in the UK or in America and they go, oh, let's just copy that, and then they sort of make it half work. But there we go. That's what you pay for. Although this wasn't cheap. This was £80 on Amazon, so that's quite an expensive pump here we've got. And let's try and have a look at the impeller. Twists off. You can see there's a little bit of manufacturer's oil in there, which is good, just to lubricate everything up. And we've got a really nice chunky impeller. This is a really good one actually. I was expecting quite a weak impeller, but we've got that's not really going to break in a hurry. We have a really chunky magnet, lots of silicone oil on there for lubrication, and we have got a ceramic shaft. Now that's good because it means that we can use this in salt water and it's not going to rust. Very well lubricated. So I mean, so far it looks like it's quite a well made product, although some of the dots just don't quite add up in terms of the instruction manual and the marketing. And that might just be two different teams working on the same thing, don't really know what's going on, and they've just marketed it in the wrong way. But who cares who made this pump or where it comes from? What we're interested in really is, does it work? Now this is the tank it's going to be going into, and it's going to be pumping from this tank up to a tank above it. So that's what I bought it for, like a sump pump. Now it's a bit murky in here at the moment because it's salt water and the salt is still mixing, and we're just going to test this pump out and see what it does and if it works and how quiet it is and so on. So let's have a look at this variable pump controller. It has quite a few features, this pump. Firstly, we've got a feeding feature. So if we turn it back on, we can see on the lowest flow rate there, we are on 101, which is basically gear 1 as it says in the manual. We can feed by pressing that, and that will give us a 10-minute interlude to feed, or we can just turn the pump off completely. Quite a nice little feature. In the middle here, if we turn the pump back on, we can make it more powerful. So that's on like the first flow rate, and as we increase it, we can see that it does in fact pump out a lot of flow. That's pretty impressive. This is the lowest model, by the way. This is 2,000 litres an hour. So that's what 2,000 litres an hour gets you. I'm going to assume that this is going to be more than enough for what I need it for. I probably won't even be on the 2,000 litres an hour. So that's quite cool. And then the other feature we have is this model. And we'll just press that and see what happens. So it says in the manual that this is a wave mode. And we can see, we can also increase this as well. It causes it to pulse. So if you were going to be using this as your main system pump on a big system and you wanted it to create a wave function, which you could do, if you had a big reef system and you want your outlet pipes to pulse and create some waves, then that's what this feature will do for you. So rather than having a power head or system of power heads which do this, you could just rely on your system pump to do it. A neat little feature, but for my purposes, completely redundant. So excuse the noise, it's just started to rain, but we're going to test out something that a reviewer on Amazon said. Basically, unlike the more expensive pumps, this won't remember the setting that you had it on, and if you get a power cut, it's going to reset back to the lowest setting. So let's test that. We'll stick it on 107. So if your system needed this amount of flow, then you have a power cut, and then the power comes back on. So it has got some memory as to the setting it was on. However, I guess if we have a longer power cut, I'm going to wait 10 seconds and then I'm going to plug it back in. And it's still 107. So the Amazon reviewer, I'm not sure what went wrong with his one, but the one I've got does remember the previous setting that it had. So according to the manual, other features this has got, we've got a hard and soft start. So as we turned the pump on, it didn't actually blast the water straight away. It was a nice soft start, which is good for preserving your pipe work and things like that, not putting any strain on the motor. We've got protection function, so if it gets blocked, it will turn off and stop it overheating. But no water protection, so if your system runs dry, then the pump will turn off, which is great. And we've got a phase shortage protection, which I believe means if there's an electrical fault somewhere in either the pump or in the cabling, then this box will detect that and turn the unit off. Back in my quieter shed now, and I think it's been a pretty good result from this pump. Okay, it's got some weird claims that it's a German pump, and it's got some weird funky marketing stuff, but the proof is the fact that the pump works. It has a really good output. I haven't tested the volume that it's outputting, but it looks pretty decent. It's definitely not weak, let's put it that way. It has some good features as long as they work, like the run dry and the fact that you can change the gearing and the feeding mode and stuff like that. It's got all the features that you would expect from a more expensive pump. In terms of noise, I don't know if you could hear from my video, but it was very quiet. I didn't hear any vibration or buzzing or rattling, which is something that you can get in some cheaper pumps. This, at the moment, having only been run for about 10 minutes, is reasonably quiet. So I'm pretty happy with that. Overall then, I would say that this pump's worth the money so far. I'm going to run it in, obviously, over the next year or so, and we'll see if it has any problems, develops any faults. But at the moment, I'm pleased with it, and if you're looking for a really cheap and powerful sump pump with a bit of control to it, then this one seems to be quite a good value for money at the moment. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, remember to leave a like and also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this kind of content. Well, once again, thanks for watching and happy fish keeping.